Welcome to U.Lab, transforming business, society and self. My name is Otto Scharmer. I am senior lecturer at MIT and founding chair of the Presencing Institute. I came here to MIT from Germany some 20 years ago in order to explore how organizations and societies can learn and evolve. And ever since, I have been involved in various projects of innovation, learning and change in business, in government and civil society. And when I look back, the two main things that I have learned throughout all these experiences. Number one, most learning methodologies that exist today, in fact, about all of them, are focusing on learning by reflecting on the experiences of the past. However, when you work with leadership teams in business, government, and civil society, what you see is, more often than not, leaders face new challenges that require them to not only reflect on the past, but to sense and actualize emerging future opportunities. And the question that came up for me is there a second source of learning from the emerging future? And if yes, how does it work? The other main insight is that in order to be effective, leaders have to engage in a new leadership work. A new leadership work that not only is changing and cultivating the exterior environment, but that is focusing on cultivating the interior condition from where we as change makers operate when we do what we do. So you could say it's kind of the source dimension or the inner dimension of leadership. And what resulted from these two insights is a framework that integrates systems thinking, innovation, leadership, and awareness that looks at these larger changes from the viewpoint of an evolving consciousness. The importance of learning from the emerging future is not new. But in practice, given the urgency of today's challenges, it has never been more important as it is today. There are plenty of historical examples that demonstrate what happens when people respond to new situations with old perspectives. The results are often quite destructive. Let's look at a concrete example. In his book, The Sleepwalkers: How Europe Went to War in 1914, historian Christopher Clark argues that the leaders of the time were sleepwalkers, watchful but unseeing, haunted by dreams, yet blind to the reality of the horror they were about to bring into the world. In other words, as World War I approached, leaders didn't consider the consequences that their collective decision-making was bringing into the world. Each was looking at the situation only from the angle of their national interest, not from the impact they were having on the system as a whole. The results of this collective sleepwalking has been quite devastating and shaped the entire rest of the 20th century with World War I, Versailles, World War II, the Cold War, which only ended 75 years later in 1989. Today, exactly 100 years later, we find ourselves at quite a similar moment of choice. In this century, the sleepwalking happens not only in Europe, it happens on a global scale. The question is, in the face of all these challenges, what does it really take to wake up and to create a better future? It takes a journey. This lab is designed to take you on that journey. And as part of that journey, you're going to connect with a global community of change makers across cultures. And you will be meeting leaders from business, government, and civil society who already pioneer new ways of working, living, and creating. You will also experience new collective learning environments that we believe are needed to facilitate deep systemic change. We are excited for you to join us on the journey of U.Lab.